Okay, usage. Do you remember under the traditional model, this was the end of the objective? Sell the clothes. And then it's not our problem. We don't have to do anything about it anymore because we've got the money in the bank. Who cares what the customer does with the product? In the holistic model, we as a brand take an interest in how the customer uses the product, and maybe we encourage them or influence them to use the product in a particular manner. And what is that manner? Well, one in which we perhaps wash clothes less often. Why? Because washing clothes needs water, needs detergent, and it needs electricity. What's the big deal about those? Water's in short supply, depending on which part of the world you live in, and depending on where that water comes from. Detergents, problem with detergents is they may have chemicals in them, they may not, depending on which detergents they are. Those chemicals get washed into the natural world. They don't just disappear from your sink, they go somewhere else, and that is nature's sink. So, how can you improve on that? And electricity. You need electricity to run the washing machine, and you need electricity to heat up the water in the washing machine. And is that a problem? Depends. Where does the electricity come from? If it's by burning coal, then yeah, it's a problem because it contributes to climate change. What's climate change? It's one of the 9 conditions of planetary boundaries. What's planetary boundaries? Then you explain that. So it's all linking back together. We as a brand can encourage them to buy a particular washing machine. We looked at 2 different types of washing machine, the American model and then the European model, both pros and cons to each one of them. We looked at cultural differences when it comes to applying hot water. How hot does it have to be? Turkey versus Germany had different approaches to it. And then by extension, the idea of drying clothes, and we said that also consumes a significant amount of electricity. So the no-brainer solution is why don't you just line dry? Not so easy if you live in an apartment, not so easy if you live a busy life. Not so easy if you're in a relationship and both partners work. Who's got time? Just chuck it in the dryer. It's easy, it's simple, but it consumes electricity as well. What's the role of our brand in dealing with these issues? So, identify any of the theories that may be applicable to the potential problems at this stage. So, which one from that list that we mentioned earlier would apply? Electricity, water, as I said, a part of the problem. Find examples from the lecture materials that are already there and the tutorials. Distinction, find your own examples of how brands have tackled this. I gave you the example of Levi's. See if there's any other brands which talk about how to wash clothes, whether to use cold water or not, and see how they've incorporated it into their marketing plan. And once again, the high distinction is how well you explain the problems with examples and then articulate a clever, intelligent solution that's appropriate for the brand. Remember, we're not going to give you Versace, or Dolce Gabbana. We're going to give you mainstream Australian brands, the Kmarts, the Targets, to make sure it's appropriate for that. How do we get Kmart consumers to think about line drying or washing differently?